Maybe I didn't do that many fantastical things, but I certainly associated with a lot of them. Hell is the original time machine. I mean, I don't want to worry you, but you should know this in case you ever need to know it. There are other time machines, but hell is the most reliable one, having been there from the beginning. Hell, you see, hell is, this is hard, the eternity beyond infinity. The incomprehensible beyond the immeasurable. It is said that the Almighty allowed hell to be created simply to give himself some space. From the time that was vet to fatter than time, the vastness that was just too much. Well, yes, you get my drift. And so, when I couldn't take it anymore, we would go, back 10,000 years to the time of the invisible court of the Taoist Sun Kings. Oh, wow. In the invisible court of the Taoist Sun Kings, inactivity and meaninglessness were all the rage. Language was so complex, so subtle and inflected and nuanced that you could get 3 words into a sentence in a completely silent room and feel yourself stop talking because you would be afraid of saying it wrong. And so the emperor of that time, the invisible court, he he brought peace to millions of people, not with words, but with the merest widening of his eye, or the shallowest exhalation of a breath, or perhaps on special occasions a tiny hatch mark of his own, written on the back of a leaf and released into the breeze. Back then, inactivity and meaninglessness had power for over 100,000 years. The time of the glaciers, not many people were alive, and the ones that were huddled together on an iceberg for warmth and comfort, and they spoke, and they did speak in imitation of the glaciers. Incrementally, slowly, excruciatingly advancing on them. Inspired by those icebergs, they spoke just one word, but a million syllables long. A word that began improvisationally at birth and ended a lifetime later with the word at death. And they spoke it together, of course. And none of them knew what it meant. Because there were no other words that they would need to define the word that they were saying, or if there were other words, they would live long enough to hear them, but still. Faustus heard a devotion to nonsense. A million syllables long. Then meaninglessness had beauty. Back 100,000 years. No. 1,000. Yes. All the world was desert before the water came. Not desert like we know it today, not sand, but tiny black pellets. More people were alive somehow. Spent their days, not years, not lifetimes, but days, sometimes several days, combing through those black pellets, each one of which was a unique letter in a worldwide alphabet, searching for the 5 or 6 which, when assembled in the correct order, they were fragmented. And as soon as they found that fragment, they would rush it back to their village and place it on a pedestal in this tiny museum at the center of the village that were maintained. And voices that cry. Now, oh, maybe this should. No, it's meaningless. It's scum. It's garbage. It's hatchworks. I should have remembered. How treasure those memories forever. If I get it forever. And it certainly would have been preferable leaving my story to be told by long-winded hacks more interested in the swirling hues of their poetic founder than in the resemblance of truth. Oh yes. Yes. It's 54 years since I wanted out to hear the operas, see the plays, read the novels, the poems, even watch the movies. Oh my God. Garbage, all of it. You're not going to do this at all. Is that why you read my diary? Because it reminds you of home. They are cherished memories, and I think that they're mine. And if they're not mine, so what? A story is a story. No one really owns a story. It could start anywhere, it could belong to anyone. The private thoughts, the secret feelings can be shared by all except in this case. This is mine. Which he did finally return to me with his usual hideous, sarcastic pomp. He sailed it to me in the inflated bladder of some poor monk across a dark sea of consecrated wine, accompanied by hundreds of tarantulas skittering across harpsichords, and followed by phalanxes of electric eels swimming back and forth until finally they formed gloppy, sarcastic hatch marks. And then, with a deep exhalation of his sulfur breath, he blew the entire phantasma along with my cane out the window, scaring the peepers down below into silence. But in my hands, my turn. Yeah. So, after we cleaned up the mess from the morning, the smoking timbers and the cow manure and what have you, it was time for lunch. And I decided that peepers or no peepers, I was going to eat on the lawn, and I ordered this one to bring me some cold gin and shortbread. And we sat down together. He actually even took a few pieces of shortbread himself, although he didn't eat them. He must have known that they were very tasteless, very dry. Just left them sitting on his chest, browning in the sun, attracting flies. And I ate and drank. Finally, I asked, "Do you remember me when I'm gone? All of our years together?" He pressed his cold glass against his forehead and said, "No, I've tried. But you must remember that I am always compelled. And so these years that are so important to you are small black pellets to me. They slip between the floorboards of my brain. And the fantastic places they visited, the ones I've ever taken to, somewhat larger than Mephistopheles. So we felt quiet, and I watched the clouds. Now there is a world for observing only, unvisitable by any eternity, any damnation, any heaven or hell. I watched a cloud horse galloping across a cloud mountainside until it dissolved into a cloud river. Then I saw a cloud meadow covered with cloud dandelions for sure, and I think cloud daffodils with cloud bees flying about from one to the next. Stranger things, a cloud wagon, a cloud boat, even a cloud coin. A cloud coin glaring out from the middle drawer of a cloud dresser in a cloud bedroom, at another cloud coin hiding behind the cloud door and fashioning for itself a cloud noose, which dissolved into nothing as soon as he dropped. He lunged for my diary, but I rolled over and pressed it into the ground with my chest. When he'd had a few drinks himself, so he did not press the matter, just breathed sulfur down my neck. I was in an excellent position to watch ants. Crawling in and out and back and forth and up and down and in my nose and around my neck. That was fine. Doing whatever it is clouds do. I must have dozed off. Because when I awoke, the sun was setting. It was time for dinner. And I wasn't hungry. So I ordered this one to bring me to the future. Your future, in fact. Not very far from now, a couple of decades, I think. And not really very far away. I ordered him to bring me to the future because I wanted some beer. On the last night of my life, I wanted some beer. And first we stopped at this, actually I don't know what that place was, it smelled very bad. But the sign had promised goodwill, and that seemed like a good idea. So we stopped there and got me some clothes, and this really peculiar timepiece you people use. Oh my God, I've got to agree. And then we went to this very brightly lit rectangle store set on a black field, also very rectangular, and had a sign in front of it at the edge of the black field. It's also very bright, very bearish. And we bought beer. And you think that you have it all figured out with your weathermen and your daily horoscopes. Well, I can tell you, when you see this coming a few years from now, you can go, yeah, I spotted that one. No! None for you. All right! The meeting was just 1, 2, 3. Your meaninglessness! Go. That's what I thought. I picked this one because it says the king, but I can't see it. Anyway, the store. I was talking about the store, yes? Oh, yes. The sign, the tall sign, it had 2 numbers on it. You know, and of course, me being me, I don't remember what the numbers were, but I remember that they rhymed. So I went in and asked the shopkeep what that was about, and he explained how, well, that used to indicate our hours of operation, but that was a long time ago, and now we are open 24 hours a day. And so his sign, his great big sign, his little number poem on it was meaningless. And I kind of admired that. What is this thing? I don't care what time it is. Not that badly. I may have to destroy this. What was I saying? Oh, I thought that was admirable. That he stuck with this little nonsense. So we stood there on the black tar drinking our beers, and I asked this one if it was really possible that I could ever forget him or he could ever forget me, and he was so bored with the question he didn't even bother to favor me with a look that was abyss. I decided in preparation for my final minutes that I would make one more entry in my journal, my diary, and I searched for a blank space and pulled out my good grackle pen and ink pot and sat there beneath the sign by its light amongst garbage and weeds. And I bent over and began to write. And suddenly I realized that he was reading over his shoulder. He had never gone that far before. He had hooked his hooves around the top of the sign and just snaked himself around the entire post, and his face was right beside mine as the visage was sucking it all in. I couldn't even speak. I slammed the diary shut and put aside my ink pot and my king, and I stuck it his eye. I stabbed right through his eye with my stick crackle pen. I should have took this years ago. Just blinded the bastard. And my aim was true. I was right for that rosy pupil when at the last moment he retracted his eyeball, and my arm sunk into his skull all the way up to the elbow. I dropped my pen against the side of it, and I heard it falling and falling and falling. Surrounding a demon eyeball at the bottom of a skull abyss. And I said, "Oh, that's sweet. You've been crying. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me, and you're gonna miss my meaningless diary, and it drives you crazy that you can't figure out what my meaningless diary means, even though it's meaningless. And he said, that's not tears, it's pus. I have pus in my eye. I haven't been feeling well. And I said, no, it is tears. I know the sound of tears. He said, I'm sorry, it's pus. And I said, it's tears. And he said, it is totally pus. Just say it's tears. It doesn't have to be tears. Just say it's tears. But he wouldn't do it. So I jumped him. And we rolled around like that in the garbage and the weeds for an hour. Pus, plus, tears, plus, tears, plus, tears, plus, tears, until finally our humps thickened and refused to split. Finally, I got my nose right up to his poke nose and I said, you don't deserve to be my servant! That stopped him. And he stuck his nose in mine and said, deserve! And that stuck to me. Anyway, that's it. Now I've lost my pen. You said, oh, I'll get you another one. And I said, no! No, I don't want anything from you. Just bring me to a room somewhere. Just any room. A little ways back, and not very far from here. I do not want to travel far. Just bring me to any room, any place, and put some people in it. Not the whole world. I'm sick of the world. I just want to apologize to a few whoever's for leaving behind this dumb diary. That's what I came here to do. I can't believe it. I almost forgot. I came here to apologize. I came here to apologize for not leaving a better record of my amazing life. And this piece of garbage doesn't mean much more than the mollusks on the back of a mollusk. And I wanted to apologize because